Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Uncovering the Hidden Agendas, a video series dedicated to showing you all how Satan has put his hand of influence on just about every aspect of society. So today we begin our discussion of music, seeing the various satanic messages, symbols, symbolism, acts of selling your soul to the devil, Illuminati, all that stuff. We're going to talk about all that today. So first, let's start with a general article that talks about the connection between popular music and Satanism. It really shouldn't be news to anyone paying even the slightest bit of attention that Hollywood and the music industry are pushing a satanic agenda, but the rabbit hole goes much, much deeper than many people realize. I've been looking into this off and on for many years, and it's really mind-blowing the depths of pure evil involved here. A few major points. Number one, in general, the music, films, and shows produced by Hollywood are designed to corrupt and degrade the morality of the masses, lead them away from faith in their creator, and ultimately destroy people and society. This is Satan's agenda. Music and film are incredibly powerful mediums, and they have had incredible success with this plan. The sex, drugs, and rock and roll revolution that began in the 1950s and 60s has radically changed society to levels that would have been unimaginable to those in the 1940s and 50s. Number two, many top music artists reportedly sign contracts in their own blood and take oaths to serve the Satanic Brotherhood. Then in interviews and their song lyrics, many artists explicitly admit that they have sold their soul to the devil. Number three, many artists admit that they are not the true authors or composers of their music, but receive it via channeling. Many admit that they have alter egos and literal other entities that possess them when they perform. What they are describing is literal demonic possession. Number four, many artists are pressured or forced into drug use, sexual immorality, and other depravities as part of their initiation into the Satanic Brotherhood. For instance, many sources and inside whistleblowers allege that a large portion of the top male artists in rap and hip-hop are closet homosexuals or bisexuals. I know that may sound unbelievable, but if you look into the evidence, it's very compelling. For example, Suge Knight says 95% of rappers are closet gay, including Dr. Dre. Put some videos there. Number five, most top artists openly flaunt their satanic allegiances in their lyrics, clothing, pentagram or Baphomet symbols, and via hand signs. The OK hand sign, which represents 666, the pyramid representing the Illuminati, and the devil horns. Many of the stage performances are literal satanic rituals, with the lyrics and imagery conveying satanic or Masonic messages and themes. Alright, so let's look at some examples of artists that have sold their soul and some initial examples of symbolism. See this Black Sabbath compilation album here literally says, "We sold our soul for rock and roll." See a picture of the Beatles here with the 3 6s and the devil's horns. Talked about those a little bit in episode 2, but I'll talk about them a little more in this episode as well. Bob Dylan with the all-seeing eye, and Katy Perry with the V. Talked about that in episode 2, but again, we'll talk about it in this video as well. Alright, I'm sure you guys have heard somebody say, "Oh, that rapper's in the Illuminati," or "that celebrity's in the Illuminati," or "look at that rapper putting up that Illuminati hand sign." Well, let's look at an article that talks about that. Rappers that are highly suspected to be in the Illuminati. Number one, Eminem. Illuminati imagery on his album covers. And he presented himself as a devil for a single called Berserk, and he covered one eye on his cover of Relapse. Jay-Z. I'm sure you've seen a picture of him putting up the diamond hand sign, and he encourages his fans to do the same. And he also features occult phrases on his Rocawear clothing line, such as "Do as thou wilt." Kanye West. Widely believed to be in the Illuminati, his video for Power is filled with Illuminati symbols and imagery, such as the Sword of Damocles, the Egyptian god Horus, girls with horns on their head, and the 2 pillars. As for his more recent albums, Jesus is King and him claiming to be a Christian. I honestly don't know. That scripture comes to mind about Satan disguising himself as an angel of light. So I'm really not sure about Kanye. But like one of my friends said, the fact that all his old albums before he converted are still available for sale, are still on the internet, I don't know. Anyway. Tupac. It's believed that Tupac Shakur sold his soul to the Illuminati in order to have success. Once he had a public outlet, Shakur was able to speak about anything he wanted, even if it did not align with the Illuminati's vision. Many believe that Tupac's death was both a sacrifice and a way to quiet his objections to the powers that be. Nicki Minaj. Illuminati symbols and imagery in her music videos, especially fond of the all-seeing eye. Lil Wayne frequently uses Illuminati symbols and imagery in his music videos, such as My Homie Still, references to sacrificial lambs, skulls, the Baphomet, girls with horns on their heads, and pyramid jewelry. And you can't see it there, but apparently he has an all-seeing eye tattoo on his chin. Dr. Dre frequently rapped about selling his soul to make it in hip-hop. He is also quoted as saying that Illuminati member Quincy Jones is his mentor. His ad campaign for Beats by Dre headphones and speakers are filled with Illuminati imagery. Many people speculate that the reason why Beats speakers are pill-shaped is because Dr. Dre is trying to get you to swallow your acceptance of the Illuminati, whether you like it or not. Whoa. Nas references the occult in his lyrics. Illmatic, that's a pretty close word to Illuminati. Aaliyah. It is rumored that the Illuminati ordered the death of Aaliyah because she wasn't cooperating with their plans. Just like Tupac, huh? Chris Brown. Tattoo of a devilish snake with an all-seeing eye pyramid as its tail. And who was our first snake in history? Satan himself. Cypress Hill. Reptilian shapeshifters in a music video associated with the Illuminati. Kid Cudi. Illuminati imagery in his music video, Just What I Am. Wiz Khalifa. Satanic and Illuminati imagery in his music video for Black and Yellow, which are rumored to be two colors directly associated with the Illuminati. One of the extras in the video is wearing a shirt with a picture of the Baphomet and a pentagram on it. Rick Ross, they say he kind of laughs off the rumors, but if it's rumored about somebody, then you have at least some reason to believe it, right? LMFAO promote Illuminati symbolism and imagery in their live performances. Pharrell, his music video for Marilyn Monroe contains Illuminati imagery. Also, Monroe was suspected to be a member of the secret group. T-Pain, shown making the hand symbol for his all-seeing eye on his album cover, Three Rings. Yellow Wolf, his video for Till It's Gone features satanic imagery. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, allegedly a member of the Illuminati. Many believe that he was a part of the sacrifice of Tupac and Biggie back in the 90s. No way. will.i.am, often seen using Illuminati imagery in his music videos with everyone from Miley Cyrus to Britney Spears. 2 Chainz, Illuminati imagery in his music videos. The rapper claims that the director makes all those decisions. Which director are you talking about, 2 Chainz? Azalea Banks, her video for Young Rapunzel features Illuminati imagery such as the all-seeing eye on a hand and an owl with 2 different colored eyes. A$AP Rocky said that he wished he was in the Illuminati. Maybe they granted his wish. And Lil B, rumor has it that if you play his song Wonton Soup backwards, the track contains satanic messages. Alright, so that's our list of rappers, and I'm sure there are more than that. How about non-rappers? Who we got? The Rolling Stones. The media pitted the Rolling Stones and the Beatles against each other in a fake battle of bad boys versus good boys, but in reality the Stones are thought to work for the same dark master as the Beatles, including releasing an album called Their Satanic Majesty's Request and including numerous explicit references to the occult in their lyrics. Led Zeppelin. One of the original bands linked with Devil's Worship, Zeppelin's music allegedly or explicitly contains a number of references to the devil, the occult, wizards, hobbits, mystical lands, and drugs. As well, Jimmy Page admired Aleister Crowley, the self-titled wickedest man on the planet, and purchased Crowley's estate, where Crowley allegedly conducted occult satanic rituals, demon conjuring, and human sacrifices. Led Zeppelin is also famous for including backmasked messages in Stairway to Heaven, including phrases like "My Sweet Satan" and "I Live with Satan." The band has always denied these charges. Let's read a little bit more about Led Zeppelin here. Guitarist Jimmy Page, known as one of the greatest guitarists of all time, stated, "My interest in the occult started when I was 15. I do not worship the devil, but magic does intrigue me. Magic of all kinds. I read Magic in Theory and Practice when I was about 11 years old, but it wasn't for some years that I understood what it was all about." Page even had occultist Aleister Crowley's words, "Do what thou wilt," inscribed into the grooves of the original Ill vinyl, and later went on to purchase Crowley's old house. Though Page denies any demonic involvement of his own, he seems to believe that Zeppelin frontman Robert Plant was visited by a possibly satanic power when he created their beloved track Stairway to Heaven. In an interview, Page said, "Robert was sitting in the corner, or rather leaning against the wall, and as I was routining the rest of the band with this idea and this piece, he was just writing, and all of a sudden he got up and started singing along with another run-through, and you must have had 80% of the words there." Sounds like a mix of demonic possession and automatic writing, the thing we talked about in episode 6. Plant corroborated Page's account. "My hand was writing out the words. There is a lady is sure, all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. I just sat there and looked at them and almost leapt out of my seat." Perhaps the fact that Plant didn't actually write the words to Stairway explains why fans have discovered satanic messages when playing the Ivy album backwards. For example, "Oh, here's to my sweet Satan, the one whose little path made me sad, whose power is Satan. He'll give those with him 666, and all those fools who made us suffer, sad Satan." Alright, who else? The Beatles. Said by Illuminati watchers to have introduced a generation of fans to the Dark Lord, marijuana, and rebelling against their parents. The Illuminati would then become their new parents, enslaving them to their dark whims. Jimi Hendrix. Hendrix erupted in the music scene in the late 60s with a power and intensity so strong that many believe he couldn't have done so without Illuminati ties. It's also alleged that when he outlived his usefulness to the Cabal, which is basically a secret society, he was slain through a staged drug overdose. According to some theories, Hendrix really didn't do drugs, but he was forced to by the Illuminati. The Eagles. The Laurel Canyon cocaine cowboys aren't an obvious candidate to be Illuminati Satan worshippers, but some have made an extremely detailed case that Hotel California, maybe the band's best-known song, is actually a paean, or a song to the devil, containing numerous subliminal references to the Church of Satan, apocalyptic, ancient Egyptian, and occult concepts. The band has always denied this. I wonder why. AC/DC. The Australian rockers are well known for using a variety of satanic images in their music and album art. They also became famous for serial slayer Richard Ramirez, claiming a number of their songs contained hidden messages that inspired him to commit murder. AC/DC lead guitarist Angus Young replied to these rumors that they called their album Highway to Hell, and they didn't bother to actually hide anything. Judas Priest. Beyond the obvious satanic references in their music, Judas Priest was front and center in a trial accusing them of implanting subliminal messages in their songs, exhorting their fans to take their own lives. Sting. As one of the more visible rock stars, Sting is an obvious Illuminati candidate. He He also has connections to Illuminati front group, the Central Intelligence Agency, as the father of his former police bandmate Stuart Copeland was a CIA officer. There are also allegations that the Police album Ghost in the Machine contains a hidden reference to 666 and its cover art. David Bowie. Gender-bending drug use and references to Satanism and the occult make him another possible candidate for the Illuminati. Bono, the U2 lead singer, is one of the most visible celebrities in the fields of philanthropy and political activism, making him a shoo-in to be an Illuminati member. He's also one of a number of celebs who made joking references to being in the Illuminati as part of a video for Matt Damon's Clean Water charity. Remember, everyone who makes a reference to not being in the Illuminati actually is, so Bono's joke is all the proof we need. Bob Dylan. The singer admitted during an interview on 60 Minutes that he sold his soul to the chief commander of this world and the next. Some might interpret that to be God, but as a wealthy, powerful, and influential entertainer, Dylan can possibly be talking about Satan, the chief commander of the Illuminati. Queen. With their flair for dramatic and regal imagery, it's no shock that the band Queen is alleged by Illuminati watchers to have been in league with the Cabal. Let's just skip through the rest of these. Def Leppard. Kiss. Steeped in occult images from their face paint to the numerous references to Satan and drinking in their lyrics, the band's name itself is still alleged by some to stand for Knights or Kids in Satan's Service. Kurt Cobain. Bruce Springsteen. Billy Joel. The Illuminati doesn't just recruit guitar heroes and strutting frontmen. They also may have their influence in the Piano Man, according to this theory that posits Joel's song We Didn't Start the Fire is actually a subliminal cable anthem prophesying that all events in human history are beyond our control and were planned out by secret societies. How about that? Chris Christopherson, Boxcar Willie. Jerry Lee Lewis, the Killer, is another singer alleged to have sold his soul to the devil in exchange for fame, and who allegedly also has a lifelong fascination with the occult. Some websites even allege that the piano player is one of the Illuminati's foremost experts in mind control programming, bringing legions of other musicians and fans under his sway. And finally, Robert Johnson. Rock and roll began with the blues, and no singer or guitarist is more of a link in that chain than Robert Johnson. The blues man who cut only a handful of songs before his mysterious passing is said to have had no musical ability until one night he went to the proverbial crossroads and sold his soul to the devil in exchange for the skills that would make him famous. Numerous rich and powerful musicians have covered his songs, from Eric Clapton to the Rolling Stones, so it may not be a stretch to think that they too sold their souls in the same bargain Johnson made. Alright, a couple more examples. Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath frontman Ozzy Osbourne is so notorious for his connections to the occult that his nickname, Ozzy Prince of Darkness, was even made the name of his solo studio album. Osbourne's personal connection to the devil is well documented, as he has been open about it throughout his career. In a 1984 issue of Hit Parader, Osbourne said, "I really wish I knew why I've done some of the things that I've done over the years. Sometimes I think that I'm possessed by some outside spirit. A few years ago I was convinced of that. I thought I truly was possessed by the devil. I remember sitting through The Exorcist a dozen times saying to myself, yeah, I can relate to that." He also practically admitted that he made a deal himself, saying, "I already have." Well, you sell your soul to the devil when you do something yourself that you shouldn't, and I already have. I've lived my life to the fullest. If there's an afterlife, I've got a good spot in the furnace, you know? And finally, King Diamond, a Danish heavy metal musician best known as the vocalist of Merciful Fate. If you pay attention to Diamond's lyrics, you'll notice that he draws inspiration from the Satanic Bible, written by Anton LaVey. Diamond even met LaVey in an encounter he described as almost like being in the Addams family. Diamond has spoke at length regarding his belief in Satanism and how LaVey's philosophy resonates with him. You see those upside down crosses on his face, as we talked about in episode 2. Alright, next we will look at hidden messages and symbolism within artists' names, stage names. So we already talked about Lady Gaga in episode 3, named after Gaga, the Babylonian god. YK Osiris, named after Osiris, god of the underworld. Rihanna, it's widely believed that she named herself after Rhiannon, the Celtic moon goddess. Cupid, the guy responsible for Cupid's shuffle, of course named after the Roman god of love. So if we're dancing, doing the Cupid shuffle, who are we dancing for? Are we dancing for that Roman god? REM, named after Rem, the Egyptian god of fish. And then some not so hidden messages. I Hate God, this is a metal band. And another metal band called Rotting Christ. Alright, Lil Uzi Vert. If you say his name fast enough, it sounds like Lucifer. Bruno Mars. Mars is an ancient Roman god. And there are a number of artists out there that have the letter X in their name. So let's look at the symbolism of the letter X. It's a common symbol in Freemasonry. Also represents a number of gods. X is an explicit symbol for Ra, the sun god. Also represents Asur, who is regarded as the original godfather, and so the X represents the genetic crossing of all humankind through Asur. And X also represents the sash of Isis, as you see here. So, who has the letter X in their name? Lil Nas X, Sadat X, Mia X, RBX, Scarlord, Slim Jimmy from Ray Shremmerd, XXXTentacion, Exhibit, and X-Rated. I'm giving DMX a pass because he said he named himself after a drum machine, but anyway. Alright, other messages in artist names. 3-6 Mafia, what does that sound like? 3 sixes, aka 666, aka the number of the mark of the beast. 6-9, of course, is in reference to yin yang. Yin yang meaning all is one, all is God. Common symbol in Satanism. Alright, so let's decode a couple of artists' names a little more, starting with Jay-Z. So, number 1, J is the 10th letter of the alphabet, and Z is the 26th. Number 2, isolate the numbers that represent those letters, of course 10 and 26. Now add those numbers together, 10 plus 26 equals 36. If you pronounce 36 one number at a time, it would sound like 3-6. And here we go again, 3-6, 3 sixes, 666. Alright. And some other nicknames for Jay-Z. Why does he call himself Hova and Jigga? Sean Corey Carter, famously known as Jay-Z, has been referring to himself as Hov or Hova since 2001. Hov or Hova is short for Jehovah, and it's a shortened version or play of the word Jehovah, the Hebrew word for God. Jay-Z has called himself the God of Rap. On A Million and One Questions remix, Jay-Z raps, "They call me Jehovah 'cause the flow is religious." So he's basically calling himself a god. Alright, let's decode one more artist's name, Eminem. So if you take the letters out of his name, you would get M and M. M is the 13th letter of the alphabet, N is the 14th. Alright, here we go. This is a little more complex. Isolate the numbers that represent those letters and put them in the order of Eminem's name, 13, 14, 13. Multiply those numbers. 13 times 14 times 13 is 2,366. And then if you multiply the 2 and 3 from that number, you get 666. Alright, another nickname. Kanye West often calls himself Yeezy. Kanye's mentor Jay-Z had given himself the name Jehov or Hov, derived from Jehovah, the Hebrew name for God, as we saw. After Kanye became Jay-Z's pupil and felt he had reached a similar level to that of Jay-Z, he chose the name of Yeezus, which is derived from the name of Jesus, the Son of God, and the last two letters in Kanye's name. By choosing this name, Kanye wanted to instate himself as a high-level god of rap. There we go again. Calling himself a god. And speaking of gods, some other artists that have the word God in their name: Ski Mask, the Slump God, and Suede, the Remix God. So why we're normalizing calling ourselves gods, viewing ourselves as gods, that's not okay. Alright, here are a number of examples of the devil depicted in popular music. I won't go through all of these, so pause if you want to, I guess. Now let's look at hand signs and symbols. We saw some of these in episode 2. So if someone covers their eye or puts up a pyramid sign, that's paying tribute to Horus. Alright, the V sign. We saw that briefly in episode 2, but here's another explanation of it, as Kesha is doing it. According to this source, the satanic V sign is indeed a sign of victory, a victory for the devil. Alright, the upside down cross appears in Kesha's video Die Young, and as we saw in episode 2, the upside down cross is a symbol of rejecting or mocking Christ. This is it. The cover is said or rumored to resemble a Baphomet. And here's another example on the right of putting up the 3 6s. Eating forbidden fruit. This comes from Travis Scott's Butterfly Effect video. Portraying yourself as a goddess. This happens quite a bit in popular music. And butterflies. Butterflies are used as symbolism for monarch mind control. The owl. We see the owl quite a bit in popular music. There's an example of Katy Perry holding an owl. And of course, as you know, OVO Fest. And then the song where Drake says, "All your exes know I like my O's," with a V in the middle. So OVO seems to be a portrayal of the owl's eyes as the O's, and then his beak as the V. But what's up with the owl? What's the symbolism of that? The owl is another somewhat sinister animal the Illuminati have adopted to symbolize their serendipitous ways. Representative of wisdom and secrecy, the owl sees in the dark, similar to how the Illuminati, who also believe they are the custodians of some forbidden knowledge, see all through their elevated institutions of control. To them, the owl also represents Minerva, and also the devil's horns. Seen in rock and metal, you also see Nicki Minaj throwing up the devil's horns. So what's the significance of this hand sign? Well, a number of people have talked about it. While most people likely consider the sign of the horns to be nothing more than harmless gesture signifying a love for heavy metal music, the gesture was merely adopted by the genre's subculture during the 70s. When used by the Illuminati and its minions, however, the ancient symbol represents the horns of Satan, the devil, or the goat god that they repeatedly reference throughout their sinister symbolism. It says here the sign of the horns is used during religious rituals in Wicca to invoke or represent the horn god. And in Levian Satanism, the sign of the horns is used as a traditional salutation, either for informal or ritual purposes. So it's like their way of saying hi, basically. And according to this last source, the horned hand, also known as the mano cornuto, is used for magical protection against the evil eye. And here's a throwback. You guys remember hearing this phrase in popular music back in the day? YOLO? Live life to the fullest because YOLO. But what's wrong with this phrase? Or what's the significance of that phrase? LaVeyan Satanists accept no beliefs in an afterlife. Each person comes into existence at birth and disappears at death. The period in between, one lifetime, is the sum total of existence. Therefore, life is something to be enjoyed to its fullest. And a quote from the Satanic Bible, life is one great indulgence, death is one great abstinence. So YOLO is promoting this Satanist belief right here. Once you die, that's it. So live your life to the fullest, because once you die, that's it. But if you're a Christian, you don't believe in YOLO, right? You believe in YOLT, if anything, right? You only live twice. 1 Corinthians 15, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? So if you're a Satanist, or a part of the Illuminati, or a popular musician that has sold their soul to the devil, they don't believe this, right? They've strayed away from this stuff a long time ago. But as Christians, we cannot fall prey to beliefs like YOLO. Unacceptable. Alright, so that provides a general overview of Satan's influence in popular music. Let's look at one specific example. I think in part 2 I'll dive a lot more into specific examples. But let's look at one involving Taylor Swift. Alright, this is Taylor Swift's performance at the 2012 AMA Awards. Taylor Swift was, until around the time of this video, and her simultaneous switch from country to pop music, a virginal pop country princess whose videos and shows were wholesome enough for parents to take their preteen daughters to, and Taylor was held up as a role model. Her songs were catchy and tuneful, and she always dressed modestly and just seemed like such a nice person in an industry full of so much depravement and immorality. But here we see a different Taylor. Yes, she is older, and with age one would expect more worldliness, but I'm not so sure. This performance has been said by many to be a representation of her initiation into the Illuminati, which purportedly took place in 2009, with the Kanye West incident being a test, which she passed. In the beginning of this video, she comes out on stage dressed in virginal white, meant to represent the early Taylor, but then is raped by the dancers representing the Illuminati and emerges dressed in black and red, and suddenly her demeanor changes from sweet to sirenish. And let's see that change. So I guess now she's in. And you might say, oh, that's so cool. Wow, how'd she change her dress like that? That's not entertainment, guys. That's a tactic. So let's finish this. The video is full of Illuminati and Masonic symbolism too. It's interesting that this seems to be a pattern, particularly in the music industry. Once a celebrity becomes a commercial success, suddenly they take a very dark turn and the symbolism begins to appear. That sentence right there made me think of another example. Miley Cyrus, right? Started out with Hannah Montana, Party in the USA. But all these years later, what happened? She became a freak. A whore. Insert other synonym here. It's crazy. So there you have it. A heartbreaking, mind-blowing, eye-opening overview of today's popular music industry. All this is right under our noses. In artists' names, in their music videos, hidden messages in their performances. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Many of these artists have sold their souls and been very open about it. So if we as Christians are listening to their music, what's that doing to us? What do you think their goal is? It's like the first article said, right? They're trying to degrade our moral compass. So in part 2, like I said, we'll dive into more specific examples of just how evil the music industry is. So until next time, be vigilant, my friends.